back in the shed again. I've got my bike here. As you notice, there's space and rubbish. I've been doing bits in the house. I've got the drill and vacuum out. There's no bike here now. That bike's gone. So this one will be moving across at some point into the proper stand. But I've got an issue with the Bandit 1200. It's decided to piss fuel out when I went to use it the other week. I hadn't used it for about 2 weeks, went to use it. Started up fine still, noticed something dripping on the floor and it was pouring fuel out from the carbs. It's actually the carb link pipes for the fuel. So here's the carbs, there's 4 of them. You can see down here. You can just make out that there's 4. And if you look straight up, right here, at the bottom, these are spacers, and at the top it's got the spacers the same. However, they aren't just spacers, they are actually the fuel pipe, and it runs through the spacers. It uses the spacers as a fuel pipe and it's sealed with O-rings. So what's happened is over time the O-rings have gone brittle, then failed. Probably, which has caused them to actually end up failing when they did, is the old owner just chucked any old fuel in. And we've got E10 Fuel now in England. So the E is for ethanol. So our fuel at the moment's got more ethanol content in it. They did E5, which some people might remember. Does say it on the pumps, but they've got E10 now. And this bike will run on E10, and you probably won't notice. Most people wouldn't notice it running on it. However, ethanol eats rubber hoses, O-rings, degrades them, and goes off really quickly as well. It I think it actually absorbs or attracts water. It's weird stuff. However, it will eat O-rings and rubber hoses unless they were designed for it. This bike was never designed to have it in it, so it will eat the O-rings and the rubber in it. So I don't put them in. I only use super unleaded, so I keep as little ethanol as possible through this bike. So those are the O-rings that I'm going to change. I've actually got the O-rings, should be in the top of the box. I've got the O-rings in here somewhere. Of course we got. Sorry, I don't know why I didn't notice. So we've got the O-rings here in the toolbox. Carb Tech, if you need any parts for your carbs, especially if you've got a Bandit. This is a 1200, actually a Mark II, whereas a 6, a Mark 1, a Mark 2, anything, and a load of other bikes. Mr. Carb Tech is your guy. Sells really good parts and at a good price. Doesn't sell cheap naff rubbish that doesn't work. Does like full carb kits, all sorts of stuff. That's the only person that I would buy any seal or carb kits off of that isn't genuine. Either go to Suzuki, which I've done for some bits in the past, and buy genuine bits, or buy them from him. I wouldn't buy them from anyone else. So that's what I'm going to do. So it's going to be tank off, disconnect pipes, seat off to get that out of the way to get the tank off. We'll take the side trims off. We'll have to disconnect throttle cables, and we're going to slide the whole thing out, put on the bench, separate them and change the O-rings. We'll have a look inside to see how dirty they are, to see if we need to clean them. If they need to clean them, I might send them off to get cleaned, take them to get cleaned. I'm actually thinking about, in the past I've cleaned them myself by hand. I might buy ultrasonic cleaner just to clean them, because I can use them to clean other things, and I do actually like the old school bikes. I want a newer bike as well, but I do like these old school bikes with carbs on. They've just got a bit more character, and this bike's grunty, and they sound so good, especially for the age and how cheap they are. They sound fucking awesome when you're wringing their neck. So let's get to it.
So I've had some people ask me about front end. It's all standard clocks, as it was easy to get the parts. I just got the parts off a naked version, and this is the front end lit up. It's like kind of like a vintagey old school style bike where they did the meshes on like some old school motocrossy style bikes. I just thought it looked cool really. And then I got the billet brackets as well. I got some nice billet brackets for it instead of just using some cheap ones. So I measured the actual forks and bought the billet brackets that are the right size for it. I'll show you a picture of what the front end used to look like on it, which, if you don't know what a Mark II 1200 looks like, horrendous looking. So that's just a breather hose. That's come off the top of the engine. Tuck that out. Away. The bit we need to undo is this tank can never get past the tap there. So we're going to undo a tap. It's just a fillet screw. And we're going to loosen the tank off of these two tan mills up here. This is the most awkward bit, especially as this has got a full tank in it. So I've left the tank like this to show what I'm going on. I've kind of balanced it in a way. I normally lift the back of the tank up so it still rests in place, but with a block of wood so the back can sit on it. When you take the screws off, remember there are these rubber bushes, don't lose them. They will drop off the end of the tank, so leave them in the world's smallest boot. Fuel tap, which we undid the bit off the end. Got the vac line that I didn't show you that I undid the other end. Over by the carbs, I just leave it on here, it's easy to pull it off from there. This is the fuel pipe, off the tap that I was talking about, and it's clipped, so I use a long pair of needle nose pliers. It's not difficult, just to clip it down and push it off. And then raise the tank up so I can get my hand in there and pull it off. My fuel pipe, actually, you might be able to see, actually is starting to split, which I'll show you closer up. That is probably, one, the age of the bike, but two, the owner before used to put E10 fuel in it with loads of ethanol, so that's going to have eaten that rubber. This is not going to help us at all, is it? Let's be honest. So I'm going to lift this tank off, pop it on the floor, and then we'll get to getting these carbs out. So this is what I've got now. Tank's off. So we've got our carbs 1, 2, 3 and 4. It's actually leaking out of 3 and 4 is this pipe at the top here. Pick these puppies out and they're going to slide out like that way. So we've got cables to get out of the way. This is the pipe that I said, unfortunately, look at this. Luckily that slides on reasonably fast, so I haven't actually started leaking yet from this, but look, it's all corroded and stuff. This is rubber, so it ages over time anyway, and it goes brittle and loses its suppleness. It's gone really hard, but this has been sped up definitely by ethanol. That's what happens if you run your bike on E10 when it's not supposed to be run on E10. So I'm going to get some bits off this that I just connected earlier. That's the throttle position sensor. We'll get that out of the way. There should be more stuff here, but the pair, or on the motorbikes they call it pair for some reason. On cars I would call it secondary air injection system. It's got that on it. That's all blanked off and binned. These are the blanks. There's one on every cylinder, blanked off, and all the pair stuff's been literally binned. Otherwise there's massive stuff under here and it's all ugly and awkward and crap to get on. I'm going to reroute these HT leads as well, because they're actually sat on top of the cylinder head, and I bet they're getting fucking hot and it'll make them break up. So I'll actually run those over the top of my cables, I think. So we're going to have to get these bloody cables out as well. and undo all the brackets. So I'm going to do cables, undone, and then we'll be undoing this screw here, and behind here is another banjo just up in there. It's easy to show this side because I've already popped it off. So we're going to undo the clip here. So I've undone this one already. This one, which I've undone here, undo that, but we've got to do it all the way along, all 4 of them. And then I'm going to have to move the airbox back a bit. So I'll undo this 10mm and this 10mm, so the airbox can move back just a tiny little bit, be enough to pop them off these rubbers. And then hopefully we'll pop it out those rubbers, and then we'll feed it out either left or right. It shouldn't matter, it should just come out either way. So I had to undo the back clamp for the tank so I could undo the bolts of the airbox and actually pull it back. You can see how much I pulled it back. I undone the throttle cables, there's 2 of them because it's pull and push off the throttle, and I fed them through, and they're still attached to the carbs and out, and once they've got out then I'll detach them. Undone all the clamps like I said. I find it easiest with carbs, you might not be able to pull them off, tilt them. If you tilt them out, the bottom will pop off, and then you can normally tilt it back and the top will pop out, and then we're just going to wiggle it out. So as you can see, I've got the carbs out now, all 4 of them. Awesome bike, that's Guy Martin's one in the background. I need to build something special at some point, hopefully in the future we can do. So I've got all the carbs out. They are pretty ming. 2 of the clamps, no, 3 of the clamps I actually went to undo were already fucking loose from previous people or something. Luckily, like I said, they sit very tight in the boots. Fuel pipes cracked on it. I'm going to drain the fuel out of them, which is by undoing this. It's the same on every single one. I'm going to drain that out, and I'm actually going to put the fuel, drain it into this. So I will do that quickly because we're just going to get fuel pouring everywhere otherwise.